I have been talking to a lot of you lately, and oh my gosh, my heart goes out to you all. Literally every story is tragic. There's heartbreak. Moms are left with this hole in their heart when the kids just up and disappear. Sometimes with a reason, sometimes without a reason, sometimes with a trail of destruction, sometimes they just are gone and nobody knows where they are or what they're doing, and there's no closure. Everybody's pain is intense and horrific, and parents, I'm talking about loving, conscientious parents who did the best they could raising this child, they're quite often blindsided. They had no idea any of this was going to happen, and they don't know what to do. There's so many emotions, and they just feel lost, trapped, sad, depressed, angry, all at the same time. It's a whirlwind. So there are just a lot of questions, and if they cut off communication, if there's no contact, then you can't have a discussion, you can't work it out, you can't, you can reflect back in your own void, basically, and try to speculate what went wrong, what did you mess up, where did you, where were you off, where did you make a mistake, where should you have done things differently. But you're just doing this in your own mind because you have no feedback from the actual child, and so without communication, you can't work it out. And many times they'll refuse to go to a family therapy. And so you can't even work it out with a third party. So what's a parent to do? It's a hard road. It's a hard road, and this journey it's a journey of grief. It's ambiguous grief. It's ambiguous grief because it's like you're grieving somebody who's died, but they're not dead, but they're kind of dead to you. So ambiguous grief is a lot like the loss of a dream, the loss of an expectation, the loss of things working out the way you thought they would work out, maybe initially when you had kids. But here's the thing, it's really easy to focus on all the bad stuff we did, or, the mistakes we made. But what's happening typically, unless we have an undiagnosed mental illness, or, if we were a sexual or physical abuser or an ongoing verbal abuser, I'm not talking about that. Most parents that I talk to, that's not really applicable to them. They were just people doing the best they could with what they knew at the time. And now the kids are gone and they don't know what to do. But it's so easy to focus on whatever mistake we might have made that time that I yelled at her, like way too much for the situation. That probably scared her. And did I apologize for that later? I don't think so. And maybe I should have. Or, that time when I didn't let her go to her friend's house for a sleepover because of some reason. Who knows? Who knows what the thing is? And it's so easy to get into our own heads and just keep going over, okay, what did I do wrong? Oh, I did that wrong. I did that wrong. I did that wrong. I did that wrong. And I'm a shitty parent because I did that wrong. I'm so terrible. What a terrible person I am. God, what's my problem? That my child would stop talking to me. I must be a horrible person. And then you go down that rabbit hole of like, I suck and it's all my fault. And I'm worthless. I'm a horrible human being. I screwed it up. It's just this pit of negativity that we get into in our own heads, and our own crap talker just won't stop. And you get depressed. Some parents get suicidal. They withdraw, they isolate. It's so easy to go into this trap. But I would like to remind you of all the good things you did as a mother. You birthed a freaking human being out of your body into this world. You cuddled it, you talked to it, you fed it, you nursed it, you swaddled it, you took it places, you passed it around the family, and everyone made googly eyes at this beautiful little baby, whether it was a son or a daughter. You got up in the middle of the night all the time to like feed it and love it. And there was just so much that went into this little baby. And then the baby became a toddler. And, when it started screaming in the restaurant, you took it outside, him or her, you comforted this toddler, and you clothed this toddler, and you gave this toddler food and shelter and toys and family experiences. You took the child to Disneyland maybe, or other parks, or play dates with other moms. And then, if you had to go to work, then you would put the child in daycare and work with the daycare to make sure that the child was behaving and learning socialization skills. And then the child went to school, and then you had to deal with all of the school things, getting to know the teacher and making sure that the child was behaving, and more food, more clothes, more toys, more love, more family experiences, just more and more and more. Every night and every day, you poured love and energy and expectation into this child, because most parents want their children to grow up to be the best possible people they can be. And so they just shower them with love and affection and attention. And, then the child gets older, and they have to, maybe they're in grade school and they have to do homework, and they don't want to do the homework. And so you have to find ways to just get the child to do the homework, because if the child doesn't do the homework, they're going to fail in school and probably fail in life. And that's the last thing you want as a parent, for your child to fail in life. And so you just pour more and more and more and more and more. There's birthday parties and Christmas presents and Easter and Valentine's and cards and gifts and more outings and vacations. And maybe things go well with your partner and you're able to keep it together as a family unit, but maybe not. Maybe something happens, and maybe the dad goes off and has an affair, or maybe he gets verbally abusive, or maybe he gets physically abusive, or maybe he just, I don't even know. Maybe he has a mental problem that's undiagnosed, and it becomes untenable to stay in the relationship. And for the sake of the child, you decide to end it, or they decide to end it. And maybe that's amicable. Maybe you guys are able to work out the co-parenting thing, but maybe not. Maybe the other spouse is vindictive and turns the kids against you and becomes the fun dad where he's got all the money. And so the kids want to go off and be with him, but you're the stable one, and they always come back to you, but then they go to, and then you're all trying to sort that out. Everybody is just trying to sort that out. But through it all, you are doing the best you can with what you have. Maybe you have to, take a second job to make ends meet. You've got to pay the rent or the mortgage. You've got to buy the food, the insurance. You got to buy the kid the iPad. You have to do all these things for the child. And yes, you signed up for this. I mean, unless the child was an accident. But even if the child was an accident, you could have given the child up for adoption. But no, you did not give the child up for adoption. You bonded with the child. You love the child. You want to keep the child. You committed yourself to raising this child into a beautiful, healthy human being. That's every parent's goal. And it's not easy. It's not easy. And yes, we make mistakes along the way. But when you put the good things I did for my child every moment of every day, if you count up the millions of good moments you had, the laughter, the reading stories, the watching movies together, the picking up rocks, the walking on trails, the going to the zoo, just even playing around the house with a little ball or something, all those millions of good moments, those go in your pro column, okay? And then there are going to be those moments where you effed up, you yelled, maybe you shook them, maybe you gave them a spanking when you shouldn't have, or you thought it was too much, or who knows, you made a mistake. Maybe you didn't get them the organic food and that was the only thing they wanted. You didn't give them the candy that they wanted, or whatever. You had to deny them something they wanted, and you thought it was for their own good, and they never forgave you. They never forgot it. Those are okay. Those are on the con side of things. You have the pro side, all the good things you did for your child to do your best to raise this child. And then you did the bad things, the con things, the I screwed up, I shouldn't have done that, I overreacted. But I'll tell you, the parents that I talk to, there are just gazillions more moments in the pro column than there are in the con column. And I think we lose sight of that. You know, if you're the conscientious, loving parent who did their very best and messed up once in a while, the good in that million moment column way outweighs the bad in those every once in a while you screwed up column. And as long as you did your very best to do the right thing with what you knew at the time, that is all you can ask from yourself. That is really all you can do. And if the child decides to leave, you have to let them go. You have to let them go. I'm trying to think of a nice way to say that, but that's the cold, hard truth. You have to let them go. They're adults. They're making their own choices. They're on their own journey. You have to give them up to the universe, to God. You have to trust that they're going to do the best they can do with what they know. That's what they're doing right now. And you tormenting yourself over those, dozen, maybe it was 2 dozen, maybe it was 100 things you did wrong, and not even thinking about the millions of things that you did right every moment. You've got to stop. You've got to stop doing this. You've got to stop beating yourself up. You really can't blame yourself for everything. You can blame yourself for those mistakes you made, and you can try to correct those mistakes or apologize for those mistakes or absolutely learn from those mistakes. But we do a lot more right than we do wrong as mothers. Motherhood is a noble, noble calling. Okay? And those mothers who stick with their children as long as they possibly can, sometimes they get into a situation where the other parent gets the kids and they can't be in their kids' lives as much as they want. But as long as you've done your best to be there for them, that's all you can do. They are human beings now. They always were human beings, but they're adults now. They're doing their own thing. And what torments us is our expectations. It's that dream we had of, I'm gonna, my kid's gonna get married and she's gonna have grandkids and we're gonna do family things like we did growing up and like she had growing up. And when that doesn't happen, these are dreams you may not even know that you had. And when that doesn't happen, or maybe you do get to know your grandchild and then boom, it gets cut off for some reason that you don't fully understand, you can't do anything about it. You can't control it. You can't force anything. You can only respect whatever boundaries they've given you. You can only accept what is. If they haven't said no contact, you can somehow let them know the door is always open. And if they said no contact, then I learned the hard way, no contact. And I have to just let her go. I have to let her go. She's an adult. She's supporting herself. She's making her own decisions. She's following her dreams. I am still proud of her. I still love her. If she ever wants to come back, she can. But if she never comes back, I am fully aware that that's a possibility. And it is what it is. I can't do anything about it. And so all of my expectations or dreams of what I thought my older years would be like in terms of family, I had to let them go. Is that easy? No, it's not easy. It's very hard. It's a process. There is a lot of grieving involved. It is a journey of grief at its very core. And healing is a spectrum. It's a spectrum from 0 to 100%, and I don't think anyone is ever 100% healed from this, because most parents I talk to, when a child just up and leaves and doesn't want anything to do with them, no matter how many children they have, it's like a hole in their heart. And that hole, you may patch it up like you darn a sock, and the sock still works. And you've got all the rest of the knitting around it, so it functions, but there's a scar there. There's a scar. And the trick is to get from that sort of Band-Aid, scabbed over condition where any little thing rips it open and makes it bleed again, to the scar, where, yes, it's healed over. Yes, I see it's there. It's a reminder of what I went through. It's one of those things, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's not easy, but you can get past this. You can get through this. And it's not giving up. Some parents seem to think that if they stop reaching out, if they stop trying to connect, if they stop trying to be in their child's life, that they're giving up, and it's wrong to give up. But it's not giving up. Giving them their space, giving them to God, giving them up to the universe, giving into trust that they can manage their lives now, that you've done your part, giving them the space to walk away and be who they are and do their own thing. And yeah, sometimes it's scary, because if your child is doing drugs or addicted to alcohol, and you live every day thinking you might get that call from the police that your child was found dead in a ditch, yeah, that's scary. But you can't live a life in limbo. You can, and I see people doing it, and they're freaking miserable. Healing is a choice. It's a mindset. You have to decide that I am sick of the suffering. I am sick of crying every day. I am sick of worrying about the dead in the ditch thing every day. I am sick of putting my life on hold because of this. I am sick of ignoring my other children that still are with me because I can't stop obsessing about the one that isn't. You have to be sick of the stress it might be putting on yourself and your spouse. You can be miserable. I was miserable for a long time. I was miserable, but I also realized that this was a process. And I knew that I didn't want to be miserable my whole life. And especially as we get older, our time is less. Our timelines are shorter on this planet. Our time, we don't have as much time. And so do you want to spend your time in misery? Or do you want to spend your time picking up the pieces and giving love to those around you who are still around you? And if you have nobody, if you're all on your own, and some women are, finding community wherever you can of people who can accept you for who you are, who don't mind that your children don't talk to you. There's community for everyone out there, but you have to seek it out. You have to. This is a mindset thing. You really have to. Yes, you need to grieve. You need to feel the feelings. You don't want to just shove them in a corner and not express them. You want to express them, but you need to express them and then regroup, and then something's going to trigger you and you're going to express them again, and then you're going to regroup. And this is the grieving process. This is the grieving process, and you need to have a vision of where you want to be on the other side. I think you need to believe that you can get through this. You can get through this. You can have a fulfilling life with the children you have left, or with the husband you have left, or with the friends you have left if you're without family. You can go out and make friends even if you're alone. And I know it's hard when you're sitting alone and you're depressed and you think nobody wants to hear about this, nobody cares. And I tell you, there is help for everyone out there. You have to seek it out. You just have to seek it out and be determined to get through this. Learn what you can. There are so many good books. There's a lot of good YouTubers out there. There's just a lot of resources out there if you search for it. All of them have something to offer, whether it's a psychiatrist or a therapist or just a regular mom or dad who's been through it, a support group, a Facebook group. There are so many resources. And I am telling you that you need to look at the millions of moments on the good side that you really did do your best to raise this child, feed this child, shelter this child, give this child the toys and the friends and the experiences and the enrichment and the education. The best you could do. We just have to deal with the cards that we're dealt and do the best we can with what we have. And even our kids who've left us for whatever reason are doing the best they can with what they have. And they're just trying to figure it out for themselves. So I think we just need to be compassionate for them, be compassionate for ourselves, be compassionate for the other parents that are going through this. And I think we just need to, just remember all the good stuff we did. All the good stuff we did. We need to remember all the good stuff we did. And, just take note of what we didn't do well, learn from it. If there's some way we can impart that wisdom to someone else, maybe help the next generation so that they don't have this problem with their kids. It's time. It's time for us to let go and find other ways to give back to people who do want our love, to people who do feel that we have some value to offer. And, we did our jobs. The kids are gone. This is our time. This is our time now to kind of bask in the sun a little bit after a long, hard day's work. And it's okay. It's okay if it didn't turn out perfect. It's okay if they're gone. It's okay if, it's okay if they never talk to us again. I know it's hard to believe, but it's okay. It is what it is. And leave it to God if you believe in God. Leave it to the universe. Leave it to fate. Leave it to random chance. Leave it to nature. Whatever it is, just let it be. Let it be, and do your best to find places to apply yourself where you can be of service to others. I think being of service to others is one of the best ways to claw your way out of this hole that you might be feeling like you're in. Look on the good side, be of service to others, compassion for them, compassion for yourself, mindset. You can do this. You can do this.